All right, everyone, continuing on our recipe journey, I quickly want to show you guys how we prepare our carrot bento cake. This is a lovely, small, intimate recipe that you guys can use to make for your loved ones at home. It is baked in a 12 centimeter cake pan. So you will just need one of those, or ideally just any type of cake pan. I've already added 150 grams of sugar to this bowl. The nice thing about the bento cakes is that they don't take too much ingredients. It's very, very cost effective. And yeah, I'm also going to show you guys our frosting process when we are finished. So like I said, I've already got my sugar in. We're going to add some milk, and you just need to make sure of your maths and things when you're changing the cake pans up. So for the main recipe, or the main carrot cake that we make, we are halving this recipe. So this one is 90 milliliters of any milk really. We have soy milk in here today. And be sure to get your measurements right. I've got 90 milliliters of coconut oil, any coconut oil. Olive oil would work too, canola oil, anything that you really, really want. Don't know if melted butter is going to work. We've got just a bit of acidic as well. I found in the cakes it's very important to add the acidic since it reacts with the baking soda and the baking powder. I've got about 10 milliliters of that. To be honest, sometimes I just throw it in and we see what happens. And you've also got a bit of vanilla. Usually, conventionally, you're supposed to add things like salt and spices together with the dry ingredients. I just skipped that step totally, and I already add the spices to the wet mixture as well. This cake I find is very important that you add the wet ingredients first so that can culminate together and build some flavor, and then afterwards you can add your flour. So I've got about 5 grams of cinnamon here. We are called the Cinnamon Club after all, so I'm definitely adding cinnamon to this cake. I'm adding a bit of cardamom that we have in here. I'm going to do 3 grams of cardamom. I love cardamom. It really gives a very rich taste to whatever you're baking. We use it in chocolate cakes as well sometimes. And I've got a bit of nutmeg. So just 2 grams of nutmeg is absolutely perfect. There we go. Especially with nutmeg or clove or any of that strong flavor, you don't want to overbear the cake too much. And my favorite ingredient, salt. That should be more than enough. You just give that a stir so everything combines. And that's absolutely perfect. I've got 165 grams of flour here. Well, to be honest, I can't exactly say how much flour this is, but that's what we're going to throw into the bowl. I think over the years, your baking hand just gets so used to all the measurements and things. I threw in 170 grams. You're supposed to do 165, but I found those measurements, it doesn't really matter. But it's interesting to see how accurate your subconscious is when you do this quite often. And last but not least, got our baking agents. About, let's say, 4 grams of baking powder. I quite like doing this with my hand, but you're more than welcome to do a teaspoon for a more accurate result. And 3 grams of baking soda. So you'll remember now with the acidic that we threw in, the thing will just fluff up very, very lightly. It's absolutely amazing. Just give that all a stir. Yeah, at the Cinnamon Club, we do like to make gluten-free cakes. This cake in particular is made with normal flour, so I'm very aware of how much I stir this cake. You really don't want to mix it too much because the dry flour dries out. Seeing as we are running a business as well, we do try to manage our costs and those type of things. So I really wanted to add some lemon zest as it is quite a hot day, and I think that would work really well in this carrot cake today. I'm just going to use the zest of the lemon as well, and then afterwards I'll show you when I make the buttercream. I'm just going to use the rest of the lemon juice to add into the buttercream. There we have it. Just give the lemon zest a sprinkle into the bowl. It's absolutely lovely. And I've got about 3 large carrots here. You're supposed to throw in, whoops. So I've got 3 large carrots here, and we are supposed to add 180 grams of carrots. So I think this might be just a bit too much, but I mean, it is a carrot cake after all. So the more the merrier. Carrot cake is one of those cakes that is quite messy, especially with all the carrots that fly around. And there we have it. It's going to be quite a lot of carrots, but I really don't mind. I want to fill this bowl in as quick as possible. Yeah, and that's absolutely perfect. I threw in about 220 grams of carrot, and that should be absolutely fine. Just giving the carrot cake a gentle stir as well to make sure all of the carrots are fully incorporated into the sponge. There we go. As you can see, the batter is nice and loose. We are just going to pour it into our lined cake pans. So what you can do, you can use a scale to measure out the batter and to make sure that the cakes are equal. We are just eyeing it here and making sure that the cakes are equal, because it is quite nice when everything is nice and level. It just makes the end product a lot neater. And as you can see here, this is actually quite a lot of batter, really filling up the pan quite nicely, which means you are going to end up with a big cake. And there you go, the cake is all set properly into its molds. We are going to put it in the oven now, and this cake usually takes about 30 minutes, especially with all the carrots. You really want to make sure that it has ample time in the oven to cook out thoroughly. I'm adding 80 grams of unsalted, softened vegan butter here. You are welcome to use normal butter if that is what you prefer, but we use use a non-dairy alternative here at the Cinnamon Club. And the butter is just going to be able to help the buttercream obviously set in the fridge, as well as add some creaminess to it. And be sure to remember to add some salt if you're using unsalted butter, otherwise the buttercream will be too sweet. Salt will help bring out the flavors of the lemon as well, and just a little bit of vanilla. Just spreading it nice and evenly. So another crucial tip is to make sure that your cake is sufficiently cooled down. I see I did rush this process a bit, so my buttercream is going to be a bit more wet when it is applied to this cake, but luckily nothing that a couple of minutes in the fridge can't fix. Gently spreading our buttercream over the cake and just placing the first couple of layers over this heavenly and soft carrot cake. As you can see, there is a couple of spots on this cake that the buttercream is melting. So do remember that tip is very important, that the cake be sufficiently cooled down. But like I said, it's not the biggest problem. So yeah, this cake is clearly struggling to take the buttercream because it is too hot. So I'm going to pop it in the fridge and I'll be back soon. All right, we are here for round 2 of buttercreaming our cake. So it is quite important to put on a layer of buttercream first. It's obviously not ideal if it melts, but yes, it's good to put on a layer first and then to decorate around that, just to lock in all the crumbs and all the freshness. It is a technique called crumbing your cake. So as you can see, especially now since the cake has been in the fridge for about 15 minutes or so and is quite tiny, it really has just gotten very colder, and it's making it much easier for the buttercream to stick to this cake.